Item number 3, public comment. Does anybody in the audience wish to comment on any agenda item? Moving on. Number 4, consent agenda. Do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Johnson. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Cummins. Any discussion? Call the roll.
Creekmore. Yes. Cummins.
Yes.
Fields.
Yes.
Heatherly.
Yes.
Johnson.
Yes.
Lester.
Yes.
Rodner.
Yes.
Wheeler. Yes. Miller.
Yes.
Motion passed, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Item number 5, approval of the regular agenda with the addition of the addendum and deletion of item 9E. Have a motion to approve that. Motion by Ms. Creekmore, do I have a second? Second by Ms. Wheeler. Any discussion? Call the roll.
Creekmore. Yes. Cummins.
Yes.
Fields.
Yes.
Heatherly.
Yes.
Johnson.
Yes.
Lester.
Yes.
Rodner.
Yes.
Wheeler. Yes. Miller.
Yes.
Motion passed, Mr. Chairman.
Comments from the chair? I don't have nothing at this time. Director's monthly report.
Okay, just what all our student athletes want to hear tonight, TCAP testing begins Monday, April 14th. We will be testing beginning April 14th throughout the end of the month. The end of the month, the last 2 or 3 days will be for makeup testing. The one-time $2,000 teacher bonus survey has been sent out to principals to share with their certified teachers. Responses are anonymous. Accepting this money, should they vote to do that, would not be considered an endorsement of the Education Freedom Act. And if the majority of teachers voted to accept the money, the board would select a resolution that they would pass that states we do not support the vouchers, but we would accept the one-time funding for our teachers. Jellicoe High School, the welding and building trades has wrapped up. It was finished during spring break. Jellicoe High School football field, the bathrooms and concession stand was remodeled by the maintenance department during spring break. There was a new entrance and gate and poured a new concrete drive at the garage door at the building trades building at Jellicoe High School. The boys and girls bathrooms at Elk Valley were remodeled. They look amazing. All this looks incredibly nice. Campbell County High School replaced the fence along the baseball, or improved the fence along the baseball field near the boat company and around the church. It was repaired. CCH weight room project is progressing well and remains on schedule to be completed by the end of May or early June, depending on the weather. Jacksboro Elementary Gym project is moving slowly. There was a delay in waiting on steel delivery, but it is still expected to be completed on schedule. Playgrounds at Wynn and White Oak Preschool are scheduled to be receive new mulch this week. The budget process is still ongoing, and I encourage everyone to please follow the Campbell County Schools Facebook page and website so you can stay up to date on all the amazing things that the students are doing in the schools and what our teachers are doing. There is so much, it was more than it could even be included in an update. As you can see tonight, we have our cheerleading teams from White Oak Elementary and Harrell Elementary. We have, happy to have our new junior board members in attendance tonight. Happy to recognize the students who attended the SCOPE conference. We have so many other things that we have not mentioned, and there is countless to mention. So please, I encourage you, stay up to date on the school newsletters, because this is the perfect time of year to visit schools and participate in the community functions they have going on.
Thank you. And I will add that the maintenance department, they did a great job on the remodel of the bathrooms. In-house projects save money, and they done a great job. So Stan, thank you. Thank the men that worked on it. We appreciate it. Job well done. Moving on, legislative report, Mrs. Lisa Fields.
The only thing is, everybody remember the summer law training coming up July 18th and 19th in Gatlinburg, and I'll remind you all again of this.
Okay, thank you. Item 9, recognize Mr. Zach Harlow, Department of Finance.
Hey, for item 8, Dr. Member Financial
Motion to approve the monthly financials.
So moved.
Motion by Ms. Creekmore, do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Johnson. Any discussion? Call the roll.
Creekmore. Yes. Cummins.
Yes.
Fields.
Yes.
Heatherly.
Yes.
Johnson.
Yes.
Lester.
Yes.
Ryder.
Yes.
Wheeler. Yes. Miller.
Yes.
Motion passed, Mr. Chairman.
And for regiments, you have 6 of those.
Them all together, or we'll do a second? I will point out one thing, I handed you an email. The tariff dilemma going on in America has increased the cost of budget, the HVAC project. It could be that, or it might not be that, depending on how the outcome of that is. That will not affect the budget amendment tonight, that will come out of equity at a later date. So I just want to let you be updated. So to have a motion to approve budget amendment 4.1 through 4.6.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Johnson, do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Cummings. Any more discussion? Call the roll.
Creekmore. Yes. Cummins.
Yes.
Fields.
Yes.
Heatherly.
Yes.
Johnson.
Yes.
Lester.
Yes.
Ryder.
Yes.
Wheeler. Yes. Miller.
Yes,
Motion passed.
that'd be it, thank you. Items for action, 10A, consider approving the director of schools. Item 10B, or 9B, sorry.
Request permission to advertise bids for food and non-food small orders.
Motion to approve,
Second.
second by Mr. Johnson.
Creekmore. Yes. Cummins.
Yes.
Fields.
Yes.
Heatherly.
Yes.
Johnson.
Yes.
Lester.
Yes.
Ryder.
Yes.
Wheeler. Yes. Miller.
Yes.
Motion passed.
All right. Item 10A, consider approving the director of schools evaluation instrument. We discussed this at the workshop, we discussed it at the retreat. Director, are you on board with this
Yes.
evaluation? Motion to approve. Have a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Wheeler. Any discussion? Call the roll.
Creekmore. Yes. Cummins.
Yes.
Fields.
Yes.
Heatherly.
Yes.
Johnson.
Yes.
Lester.
Yes.
Ryder.
Yes.
Wheeler. Yes. Miller.
Yes.
Motion passed.
Item 10B, consider approving the science textbook adoption. Have that attachment. Do I have a motion to approve? Motion by Mr. Heatherly, second. Second. Second by Mr. Cummings. Any discussion? Call the roll.
Creekmore. Yes. Cummins.
Yes.
Fields.
Yes.
Heatherly.
Yes.
Johnson.
Yes.
Lester.
Yes.
Ryder.
Yes.
Wheeler. Yes. Miller.
Yes.
Motion passed.
Item 10C, consider approving the overage of lodging for the Tennessee STEM Innovative Summit Conference in Nashville. Do I have a motion to approve? Motion by Ms. Ryder, do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Fields. Any discussion? Call the roll.
Creekmore. Yes. Cummins.
Yes.
Fields.
Yes.
Heatherly.
Yes.
Johnson.
Yes.
Lester.
Yes.
Ryder.
Yes.
Wheeler. Yes. Miller.
Yes. Item 10D, consider moving the starting time of our regular session meeting from 6 o'clock to 5 o'clock, beginning May 13th, 2025 meeting. Do I have a motion to approve? Motion by Ms. Fields. Oh, yeah.
Can I just say something? If everybody, a lot of thinks that it might be too early to do 5 and too late to do 6 as the summer approaches, should we present at 5:30?
I think that's a compromise.
Compromise, would that be?
Is that your motion?
Yes, sir.
Motion for 5:30 start time. Do I have a second? Second. Second by Mr. Cummings. Any more discussion?
Discussion point, Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
I'm totally fine with 5:30 or even 5 or 6 or really whenever. My curiosity is, are we going to continue rotating the meetings from school to school? If we're going to do them here at 5:30, I think that's great. I'd love to go into White Oak, but if we're expecting folks with full-time jobs and careers to to then be at White Oak or Elk Valley at 5:30 and they're in this district, that's pretty cumbersome, so.
My plan is to have one more school visit.
Okay.
And Ms. Thomas has volunteered,
Okay.
so that would be both sides of the mountain.
Okay.
So as my reign as chairman, we got one more school visit.
Perfect. I yield. Sounds great.
Call the roll.
Craig Moore. Yes. Cummings.
Yes.
Fields. Yes. Heatherly.
Yes.
Johnson.
Yes.
Lester.
Yes.
Ryder.
Yes.
Weaver. Yes. Miller.
Yes.
Motion passed.
Item 10F, consider naming the renovated Kemp County High School field house, the Jimmy Pierce Field House. Motion by Mr. Lester, second by Ms. Reitner. Any discussion? Well deserved is what I'll say. Call the roll.
Craig Moore. Yes. Cummings.
Yes.
Fields. Yes. Heatherly.
Yes.
Johnson.
Yes.
Lester.
Yes.
Ryder.
Yes.
Weaver. Yes. Miller.
Yes.
Motion passed.
Thank you. Item 11, items for discussion, nothing this time. Item number 12, one that I've been waiting for all, Mr. Gantry.
Well, first, I wanted to say that we have some good news as it related to due process hearings that have been filed. We've gotten all of them concluded with one with mediation this week, so it looks like all of those are going to be concluded in our paper in, I would say probably in 2 weeks. I think I got a second for the mediation. So what that means, because I don't know if y'all had any due process hearings last year, it's when a special education student asked for a review of their special education services to make sure that the school system is doing it appropriately. All of them conceded that you're doing it appropriately, so there's not going to be any penalty, any change. Services look great. So it was really, I was very pleased. Special ed's obviously something important to my heart with a son with cerebral palsy, and I thought your director and your new special ed coordinator were very well prepared, handled everything. The people at the state also complimented you. So they thought it was a very good mediation for y'all's person to go through. So you did excellent. The question, I suppose, Mr. Chairman, that you're asking has to do with this insurance issue, and it may be a good time for Mr. Marlowe to step in and state the position, unless something has changed from when I started here in 2002. And I realized I was off for a year, so something could have changed. Y'all are under the 1981 Financial Management Act, and the chairman, I don't know if we call the chairman, but whatever Mr. Marlowe's position is, the finance director probably for the county, had always signed every memorandum of understanding as it related to y'all's health insurance since I had been here. He had always also presented himself as the fiscal officer for the county, and that you all have the ability to vote for projects, but you don't have the ability to appropriate money under the 1981 Act. So y'all have no taxing authority, no levying authority. So I suppose to Mr. Marlowe, the other Mr. Marlowe, so now I'll call him Zach for purposes of the thing. Has anything changed since the last memorandum of understanding where you all are not the fiscal officer?
I have to defer to our director.
Can you call him?
Not right now, I work in those departments, so that's not really
Well, I was going to say this kind of time sensitive. I think dialed into this. I saw Mr. Coker walk in. He may be a good person to interject. Joe had sent me, I think, an email where there was a question raised by Jeff Marlowe about not wanting to sign the MOU, and then I received an email that I think all of y'all did, and other county officials did, from Ms. Lee, who is the director of this program at the state level. And it was pretty detailed email. I think it was 4 pages, and Lee, she kind of went through and provided past MOUs that had been signed by the finance director, emails where he had indicated that that was, his responsibility. I thought it was an extremely detailed email. I was asked to review it, and my response that I gave to Mr. Chairman, the rest of the board, and to the other county officials was that I agreed with everything that the director from the state said. Zach, do you all have any disagreements with what Director Lee said? And
Again, I'm not familiar with the situation.
was Mr. Marlowe, was Jeff aware that this was going to be discussed tonight? Because I know he emailed back and forth between everyone, so, I mean, I'm at a little bit of a loss. I thought that the state, Ms. Lee, who I do not know, I thought was very well prepared to answer the questions that were posed, and she gave detailed answers. And then there was a follow-up question by Joe Coker, who does a great job for Ross County. And I think she gave a one answer or one sentence response to Joe's follow-up questions, which was, I stand by my original letter. So I don't know what to tell you other than I agree with what the state has sent out as the requirements. Everybody keeps saying this is a legal issue. I don't know if it's a legal issue or an administrative issue. And again, I don't know what has changed from the 20 years that from when I took this position back in '02 to where it's always been signed. I'm not grasping what's the problem with just simply signing the document to keep your all's employees' insurance.
You know, obviously, I've been in it all day. If I seem a little agitated, I am. You know, we're talking about a dotted line for somebody to put their name on to make a document. Now, the consequences of not signing that dotted line is our employees of this school system may lose the services of their health care next Friday or 30 days thereafter. To me, that is unacceptable. It's unacceptable. Should not happen, shouldn't even be having this discussion today. So what I said to the powers, the people I emailed today, fix it. We can sit here and debate all day long. Find a solution to the problem and do it. The people don't deserve to be treated this way and worry about health care. So, Mr. Cantrell, if you will, tomorrow, will you get with Mr. Coker and just try to find some solution?
Well, and Joe's here. The
Mr. Coker, you have anything to add?
The solution is just to have Jeff sign the document.
In the memorandum here, there was instructions that went with it, and there's definitions that come with it. There's 39 definitions there, but there's not one for fiscal officer. Everything else in it is defined. Doesn't say what it is or what exactly it's supposed to do. So what Mr. Marlowe has said in his emails that he has sent, and I think you have a copy of it, is that up until now, he had viewed his role in this as clerical, where he would process and write checks, but he didn't have anything to do with the management part of it, which is what Benefits Administration is saying now. And I know that Dale has read those emails, and there's not any disagreement between he and I working together. You know, I'm pointing out to you what has been told to me and what we were asking the state to clarify. And the emails that Ms. Lee has sent don't address that issue. Basically what they've said is, well, you've done it this way before, so you keep doing it this way again. She's never acknowledged the questions really that we were asking, or what the statutory authority was that said what gives him the power to do it, the duty to do it, and we've asked that repeatedly. We got an opinion from CTAS. For those of you who may not know who they are, the County Technical Advisory Service has 4 or 5 lawyers in Nashville that advise counties on legal matters. And they're experts in the field, and they are the resources that I and other county attorneys get to access whenever there's questions that come up that maybe we don't know the answer to. And they know the answer to just about everything, or they'll give you one anyway. And, you know, they looked at it and they said, I sent this to you, Chuck. You can send it out. They felt like there was a misunderstanding within Benefits Administration as to what the authority was under the 1981 Act. And we had asked, what is the statutory authority you're relying on? And you'll see in the responses that you get that they just don't have anything. We asked that they send it to their legal department and that they respond back to us. I assume they did send it to their legal department. We never got a response as to
I
what,
did get a response.
from the legal department.
I received a response March 2nd from Mary Ann Dursky at Tennessee Department of Education Finance Department, who said, we have all agreed here and CTAS that Mr. Marlowe is indeed the finance officer for the school system. Brian Berkland from the comptroller's office has a good relationship with Mr. Marlowe and has offered to call him tomorrow morning to talk with him.
And that was on March the 2nd.
Yeah, no, that was April the 2nd, I'm sorry.
Well, I have not seen
That was from Mary Ann Dursky.
I don't know, you know, what response he may have made to that. You know, what I had received was on March the 25th, where they said this could just be a misunderstanding or the case of someone not knowing how the county is structured under the 81 Act. So whether or not they knew that or not, I don't know. We don't intend to comment on that. But there is one thing here that I would certainly want to bring to your attention. In the emails that I sent to you today, which were 5 attachments, and there have been many, many others. But one of the parts of the first and second emails that is there, explaining this memorandum of understanding, is what they call the frequently asked questions section on page 2. And they're short. What if I serve in all 3 roles with my agency as director, finance officer, and ABC? It says you will need to print and sign your name on all 3 lines. Apparently that's acceptable for the same person to read all 3. What do I need to do if my director, finance officer, or ABC has changed recently, or if my agency contact information has changed? You will need to provide the name, phone number, and email address for each person that has changed so that we can update our records. What if my agency currently does not have a director or finance officer? Answer, if there is no director or finance officer, write this on the signature line that no one is there serving in this role. What if my director or finance officer is unavailable or out of the office? Can I sign for them? No, we need their signature, and an ABC can't sign for them. Lastly, can I request an extension if I can't return the signed MOU by the deadline? Yes, respond to the email and let us know if you need an extension, and they give you a telephone number and an email address to do that with. So apparently there is a process by which you can ask for an extension if you feel like you need it. This is different from what Ms. Lee was telling us in the letter, you know, that says it has to be signed this way and it has to be done by April the 15th. You know, if you can get an extension, it appears like there is some provision for it. I'm not going to try to explain why those seem to be different. I'll let Mr. Campbell do that. He's your lawyer. This is the state we're dealing with here. That may be the answer.
Well, let me add something before you interject. Under the 1981, let's say that, now let's just pretend the set of facts that Mr. Marlowe says, I'm not the financial officer, refuses to sign it, and you Sharon to do it. And if you all vote that, Sharon's going to be the fiscal officer. Mr. Marlowe, in his capacity, could then say, I'm not going to fund it because I didn't approve it as the chief financial officer. Under the 1981 Act, when your county adopted it, you all gave away certain authority to your county finance or county budget committee, which is, made up of just one vote, but primarily your county mayor and your county commission control your finance committee. And then Mr. Marlowe's position is the authority as to whether or not it gets funded. The concern that I think the lawyers have is that if the person that is responsible for funding the instruments is not the person that signs the agreement, then you could very well get into a situation where next month you could say, I didn't sign it. You have to have a fiscal officer sign it. I would say I am 100% that he is your fiscal officer. That the county finance director under the 1981 Fiscal Management Act for the state of Tennessee is the fiscal officer for the school system. That's why you all don't have an independent, finance director.
And let me add, for more than a decade, he has asserted himself as our fiscal officer, correct?
Since 2002.
So, Mr. Coker, when did those, you were talking about some changes to what a fiscal officer in this capacity does. When did those changes take place? And if it was more than 2 years ago, then why did he act as our fiscal officer 2 years ago?
Apparently, from what I understand, he learned this from the Benefits Administration 2 or 3 weeks ago, that their interpretation of what a fiscal officer is has changed. That he had told them that his position.
But when did it change is my question.
He said he just learned it.
That's not what I'm asking. I'm asking when did it change, not when did he learn it? Because if it changed 10 years ago and he's asserted himself as a fiscal officer in 10 years, we have a serious problem with a county finance director asserting himself in a position that he's not apparently qualified to, correct?
Well, to give you a real world example, myself and Dr. Smallwood's work, the way I came to Campbell County was your all's director of school and the predecessor as the attorney had been removed. There was a lot of stuff going on. Dr. Smallridge was appointed by the state. I came in, and the former director at that time continually paid, even though we took it to court and said, we don't want to pay, because you're going to pay Dr. Smallridge to do this. And Mr. Marlowe took the position, no, I get to decide whether or not to get paid. And we lost that argument. Billy Joe White, who was the chancellor at that time, ruled that the county finance director is the sole decision maker for the Campbell County Board of Education as to whether a check to get. So you're in a situation there where you're going to act in lawsuit against a former employee, and the former employee is still getting paid. You're paying 2 directors, and Mr. Marlowe won that argument at the Chancery Court level. And I can't remember the fellow's name, he was the director, but he got paid the remainder of his contract for a couple of years, and we just.
We didn't appeal that?
No, why did he make the appeal? I mean, it's so clear cut under your 81 Act that he has, not only this authority for the school system, but for your sheriff's office, for your road superintendent's office. The 81 Act is designed for small counties to not for each of your county departments. That's what it exists for. Your all's county is right on the bubble of being too big to really operate under the 81 Act, but you all have to change it as a county level. It's really more for counties like Union County size that you're paying all these extra administrative positions for no reason. So the 81 Act lumps all of your fiscal authority in one entity, which is your county finance director, which is appointed by your county finance committee, which is made up, I think, of the county mayor, 4 commissioners, the director of schools, the road superintendent, and the sheriff. So whoever those people are elect a county finance director, and then he serves as the fiscal officer for the sheriff's department, for the road superintendent, for the schools. So we have no authority over it. Mr. Chairman, respectfully, when you say for the attorneys to work it out, I think the county commission and the county finance committee have the ability to direct them. But he doesn't answer to me there's nothing, if you read the emails back and forth to him, he basically told me to blow away. I mean, he goes, hey, I disagree, I'm not doing that. Because my opinion was, you need to sign the document. My opinion has not changed of anything that I have seen. And I agree with Joe that there is a vagueness to some of this, but it's a vagueness that in your all situation really isn't vague, because under the 81 Act, he is your only fiscal officer. I mean, you don't have the authority to write a check. You
No,
know,
if I have an unauthorized signature on this form, it will,
it's kicked.
it will, the insurance will be null and void.
Well, and you all as a board don't have, let's say you vote to hire a new position or create something, he can simply just say, I'm not gonna fund it. You could unanimously say, we're going to vote to do X. And if it requires a financial component, correct me if I'm wrong on any of this, but if it requires a funding source or a funding entity, he has the ability to say, no. I mean, that's what the fiscal officer does.
Is the hang up the term fiscal officer?
Right? The hang up is he just doesn't want to sign the form.
Because like couldn't this same group of individuals who elect him say, hey, we're gonna change his title to fiscal officer?
And under your 81 Act is a law that the state kind of creates that your all's county chooses to follow. So I don't think that the county commission could just all of a sudden say, we're not gonna do the 81 Act. I think, Joe, it would have to go before a referendum to change, to be voted. But it's been, y'all been in the 81 Act since before I got here.
Mr. Gator, let's be clear, there is only, it's my understanding, there's only 2 counties in the state that are under the 81 Act.
We just came under it because Anderson County,
But how many?
there's not very many.
28, I think.
Yeah. We are the biggest.
There's been tons of circulating rumors of how many people are under.
The what?
that law.
Well, the reason our county mayor just wanted more control, and so they just kind of, nobody understood really what Act did, and they just voted it in, and the next thing we knew, we had a county finance director. The difference is, in our county, they still allow the Board of Education to have its own finance director, so we cut our own checks, we sign our own checks, we budget our own money, we don't go across the street to get approval. You know, once our budget is done, we write it, the director and the board can appropriate funds, county commission then approves it, there's no veto authority that comes through. But, I mean, one thing I suppose you could do is you could, you've done this in the past and it was never funded, but you could say, we're gonna vote to elect a county finance or a Board of Education finance officer for the school system. And then that person designate all fiscal authority. You wouldn't have to have Karen or Zach or anyone show up every meeting. Your own financial officer would be the person that then explains to you the budget amendments, but they still don't have the authority to fund it, is the problem.
Now, I'd like to clarify just a couple of points on your question here about whether or not the financial management committee could just vote to call him something else. Okay. No, under the 81 Act, it is the finance director is a director of the finance department. The director of the finance department does not have managerial authority over health benefits for Board of Education employees or any other department. That's where the real rub comes in here. What he says is he's been performing clerical functions, writing the checks to pay for it, but it's not something that his office has managerial authority over, and that's in the letters that he has sent.
I would agree with Joe 100% on that.
And I get that, but did he sign it and say, Mr. Marlowe clerical, or did he sign it as finance director? Because if he signed it as finance director then what would change in 2 years that he can't do the same signature with the same title?
Well, I've not seen every document that was signed, but my understanding is the document had a line that said fiscal officer.
Did he sign
And
that?
that he signed that. And that what changed is that he learned that the Benefits Administration had changed their definition of the scope of what that was to include managerial function, which the 81 Act does not give him that authority. Keep in mind here that this officer, this fiscal officer, this title fiscal officer is specific only to employee insurance benefits. It's not the whole thing that you would have. It's specific to employee insurance benefits. Now, as far as him having veto power over anything in your budget, he really doesn't. I mean, that's up to you, you know, to decide how you spend your money. The county commission role is to appropriate money for you. Now, if he sees that you're about to spend money in some unacceptable fashion, then he does have some authority where that's concerned. But where it would be something that would be provided for in the law or in a regulation, I can't imagine that he would say, no, I won't do that.
Would be the continuing funds. I mean, he can't come in and say, we're not going to honor our continuing fund balance, but in specific answer to your question, you all get to pick what insurance plan you have. Jeff doesn't get any say in that. That is, I agree with Joe on that part. He has no authority to pick the benefit plan, to pick what you're going to do to negotiate it. All he's saying by signing as the fiscal officer is, we've got the funds to pay for this and we will pay for it. That's really.
I'll write the checks whenever it's time to write the checks.
That's the thing.
If I may, since it's been stated tonight that there's 28 counties across the state of Tennessee that are operating under the same amendment, could it not be said that there's 27 other examples of this document and who's signing it?
We tried to get an answer about that for 3 weeks, and we've not been able to get it.
I mean, all of this is, really this whole conversation is a bit of a moot point. We need our county finance director to sit down with this Board of Education and answer these questions. Do we all agree on that? Mr. Chairman, I'd like to request that you reach out to our county finance director and request a workshop with him. And if we're unable to have a workshop with him, then we need to be working with the county mayor's office. Who are the 4 county commissioners on that committee that elect the county finance director? But if not, we need to be sitting down with these folks and reconsidering who we want as county finance director. We have 750 employees in this county who, because a signature may not get signed, may lose access to health care. That's mental health care for people in need, that's single parents, that's people fighting something like cancer, all because we can't get somebody to come to this meeting and explain why they won't sign a line. Now, Mr. Coker, do you, in your capacity as an elected county attorney, believe that our finance director is making the right decision here?
I believe that he is following what CTAS has advised us, that he is not a manager of the insurance benefits for Board of Education employees.
But you've disagreed with CTAS before yourself, correct?
I have.
So CTAS is not the ultimate, earlier you referenced CTAS has the answer, having the answer. No, they just give an opinion, correct?
Just like any attorneys,
Right.
they give opinions. I give opinions, Mr. Campbell gives opinions. That doesn't have the force of law.
So I guess we just need to sit down with our county finance director and come to some form of resolution.
I was contacted earlier today by Senator Yeager. Someone in Nashville went to his office and said there is a dire situation in Campbell County. They have several hundred employees who are about to lose their health insurance because the state views him as our fiscal officer. And Mary Ann Dursky, again, the email said Mary Ann Dursky, CTAS, Comptroller's Office, and Benefits Administration, they consider him our fiscal officer. He has signed as fiscal officer. They may have changed it. I don't know if the description changed, but no one notified anyone that there was going to be a change. Asking for an extension is not really going to make a difference. We need to go ahead give our employees the security they need, that their insurance is going to be intact, and then make the changes accordingly. Because my concern is, if we name someone as fiscal officer just to be naming them that, no one has training, no one in my office has any authority in a fiscal capacity to make any decisions. We have never had anyone trained in benefits by benefits administration, other than when we were moving our certain classified employees over to the county or the school system health plan. They trained us how to do that. We do onboarding and we send everyone over to the finance department. It is listed on the website. That is their contact, their point of contact. Had we known that there was going to be anything that would put our employees at risk of losing health insurance, we would have taken action to hire the appropriate people. I don't understand how we can have someone act as fiscal officer, check into our banking, secure loans, different things, sign our checks. He does everything else in a fiscal capacity. So if this is asking for the fiscal officer's signature, why would it be any question? If he's not comfortable with that, go ahead, sign it now, let's move forward and make the proper adjustments moving forward. I just, to have a workshop, that is a great idea, but time is what is the issue.
I can be here tomorrow.
We have until next Tuesday to get this signed.
And Mr. Marlowe,
Y'all don't have the ability to make Mr. Marlowe come.
That's
to the
correct.
workshop. I mean, he didn't come tonight.
No business.
You all have no authority over him whatsoever.
I think we reach out to him, ask him to attend a workshop. If he does not choose to respond to us or is unwilling to meet with us, then we immediately need to be telling all 750 employees of this county school system that they need to be picking up the phone and calling their county commission, and we need to find a new county finance director. It is not fair over a silly power struggle and an old definition, something that this man has done for north of a decade to make these men and women that are working for us, educating our kids, worry every single day. That's unacceptable. Mr. Mayor, do you have anything to say? I know that.
No, I've been given an education. Of course, as you know, I'm representing the school department.
Yes, sir.
And I thought Joe did a very eloquent job at explaining the situation, what he did, what he's found out. I found out about this last night, so just from the emails we've been chasing and talking back and forth with Joe, it is a legal issue because he raised it. So, at that point, it does become a legal issue. So,
And I'm hoping that our county finance director will say, yeah, let's sit down and work out a resolution. That seems like the responsible and mature thing to do. And in my dealings with our county finance director, they've all been good. He's met with me, we've discussed issues. I feel like I have a good relationship with him, and I'm hoping that we're able to get down and sit at a table and figure out a resolution to this before we have 750 men and women in jeopardy.
absolutely.
I'd like to make one last point here. Again, everybody wants to achieve the same goal. There's no question about this. But I think that one of the biggest problems that we've had here is there's been too many people trying to talk to different ones. Like Director Fields gets an email here that I didn't get. I've gotten some that other people didn't get. And people haven't known who was talking to who or what was said or the context of the questions that were being asked and answered. It's much better whenever you get one person that's trying to communicate so that one person knows how it all fits together. And like the lady from CTAS said, it may be just a misunderstanding, but whenever you've got so many people asking from so many different directions, that will be easier to understand how that could occur.
So what is you stand by your?
I've always been included in group chat. Nobody has sent me individual questions. I have consistently said that I think Director Lee gave the correct assessment. I think that I agree with pretty much everything Joe said, and that I can see Jeff's point, and I like Jeff. I mean, keep in mind, I'm not even negative things to say, he's done a good job during the times I've worked with him. We've disagreed on some stuff, but it's always been friendly. I can see him saying, well, hey, I don't, need to be picking the policy, I don't need to be, administering the policy, that should be a Board of Education function. I agree with that. But that signature line isn't for that. It just says fiscal. Joe's best point he made tonight was nowhere, you would think they would define what the fiscal officer is. That would have solved all of this. If they said your director of schools can also be the fiscal officer, then we have no problem. If they say your director of finance, but since Tennessee has not only just 28 under the 81 Act, a lot of your big municipalities have independent, where they've created their own financial management, that it doesn't mirror anyone else's. So these state plans are kind of a, one cookie cutter thing that everybody's supposed to work out of, and everybody's under a different financial management system. As your attorney, I do not know who else could be considered your fiscal officer other than Mr. Martin. I just don't know who you could pick.
See, that benefits administration frequently asks questions, says the same person could be all three.
So does that mean in a school system or a type of business? It doesn't necessarily mean director of schools.
There you go,
What would happen if you allow them to play?
Well, it says you send it in anyway, but then the letter that she sent says it has to be signed. It can't be both ways,
I'm going to give out a potential suggestion, because one, I don't think he will show up at a meeting before this has to be done. And you all don't have the ability to take action at a workshop. You would have to, not adjourn this meeting. One thing you could do is you could vote to amend the agenda tonight and say, we're going to elect we're going to have the board of an emergency situation, we're going to have the director of schools appoint a financial officer for the Board of Education. And then that person signed this, and then if Jeff challenges it, then it's still, I think, a legal document, because you now picked who your fiscal officer is. If he decides to take you to court and say, I'm the fiscal officer, then, it would be just switched out. At that point, he would then sign his name, but I think that would make your insurance document legal, because you're now throwing it into his thing, because he either is or he isn't. You can't have it both ways. So if you vote and say, we're going to elect the fiscal officer for the Campbell County Board of Education, do it on an emergency basis, then post it for 10 days and let the director hire it. I think that person could then sign it, and then it's up to Jeff to say, well, wait, I'm the financial director for the system, and then if he does it, then you would just substitute his name out there.
Okay, I'll do whatever we are told to do, but I feel like if we do that action, then we're circumventing the situation. We're not addressing the real issue, because from the email I received, that everyone at the state has named him as the fiscal officer. So what does that do to us legally, opening us up if someone steps in, if they have a conflict with their insurance and says, wait a minute, I'm not happy with this because this is not who is supposed to be signing this. This is not an authorized signature. This is not, I just feel like we're.
I don't have the ability to make the man sign the document. That can only come through the county level. You all don't have the ability to make the man sign the document. The only answer I can think that will give you the opportunity to keep these teachers insured, and this is just a shot, the state may throw it down. The state may say, no, in your all's Financial Management Act, it's Mr. Marlowe, it's nothing, regardless of what vote you take tonight. But that's the only legal solution. I was asked to give what would be a potential legal solution. That's the only one I know of, because surely to goodness the state would then, I don't know how they could not honor your position of saying, we are now creating the position of, finance director that's going to be the fiscal officer for the County Board of Education. That person, you can do it on an emergency basis and then post the position for 10 days, whatever the salary, is gonna be, and then let him apply, and then if Mr. Marlowe says, no, I'm the fiscal officer, he's got some explaining to do, as Desi used to say. He's gonna have to show up and go, well, you can't have it both ways.
I would agree that would be a short-term solution to it that would work. And I can't imagine a scenario where he would challenge that after the emails that he sent.
And then the question's gonna come, does he fund it? When you all send this over, because first thing in the work for free, you're creating a position, which I think you need. I think it would be great to not have to have this gentleman come over here and go, hey, you know, I don't do this, I don't do that. To have your own finance director, I think, is a fantastic thing for the Board of Education.
I don't disagree, but in a year where we're facing a $2,700,000 budget deficit, how do we fund that, is my question.
Well, but do you lose your insurance? I mean,
Right.
Yeah.
he's put you in a bit of a box at this point, because you can't straddle the fence. He's either the financial manager for the system or he's not.
But you were talking about, we obviously have no authority to make Mr. Marlowe do anything, and I completely agree and understand that. But nobody really has any power to make him do anything. They just have the power to hire and fire him, correct?
Joe might have a better answer for this tonight, but I think your finance committee could probably overrule him, and if he said no, that would be grounds for dismissal. I think if your finance committee got together and said, take this action, and he said no, you would then probably go back to the county commission and say, you're being a little insubordinate, because you can't just not take any action, but I think it takes like a 3/4 majority of your commission to remove him. If I'm not that familiar with the other one.
Mr. Chairman, my thought is versus us creating a new position that we then have to fund and the legal implications of that in such a short time window, et cetera, my recommendation is to coordinate now with the county commission's finance committee and this Board of Education and see if we can work with a resolution and invite Mr. Marlowe as well.
Please keep in mind here that this fiscal officer, although undefined, only applies to the Board of Education insurance benefits. It's not your whole system. He would continue to do everything he's doing now. That officer only applies to that function.
I think what her concern was the ability to do all of the stuff.
It is, and I'll be quite honest with you, I feel like this is a retaliatory over the separation of our classified employees, moving from the county plan to the school system plan. That,
Hey, Crystal had another question.
Just a suggestion. Can a line not be added to that motion that says what our finance director is? Mark through that, whatever title they have there, put finance director for Campbell County, then he signs. Because it appears to me the big thing is the definition of that
Fiscal officer.
fiscal officer.
That's
Change it
a
to
good
finance
one.
director, put the definition at the bottom, send it in, see what is that? They will see his signature as being the one that's always been there, but with his legal title.
I have no idea if that would be acceptable to them. I know that he sent to them a stamp that he used, that's basically said, I will perform the clerical functions that have been performed in the past, and that this document would be executed just for that purpose, and they said no. So,
Sounds like they'll be a little difficult too.
I think everybody got mad.
I will say this, in my review of one of the past emails from like 2 years ago, we went through this. There's an email where he clearly defined that he was not the mandatory part of this problem to Lori Lee. That was 2 years ago. He stayed in the same position that it's staying today. The only thing I want is we've got to find a solution. Here, what are we gonna do? But I don't want 750 people we're worried about. There's enough to worry about as well about that.
it just bothered me that you had sent this very detailed, thoughtful email at 4:04 today. And before 404 ended, she sent back on that 1-6 reply and says, I've got nothing more to say
I
about
know,
it.
it was kind of a rough feedback. I mean, looking
Because
for
you did do a
solutions.
good email. That was
I was
very.
looking for solutions, olive branch, trying to be nice, trying to be, and I get shot down that I've said all I'm gonna say. And all I wanted was for their attorneys to get with you all. That's it. And it was shot down.
How can a Ken later call and say, this is what the city is going to do? Since they were so worried and went to him, go back and say, this is the problem.
Yes.
Mr. Chairman, if I may, I understand all this is conversation surrounding that whether or not we should sign this document. But I think the burden of responsibility that lies on the board to take a necessary step, whatever that step may be, to do our part to make sure that these guys don't lose their insurance. Now, at which point we've done everything we could possibly do, and there's only one option that's been mentioned by our attorney as an option that we could possibly to make tonight. They could, then relieve it. We've done everything that we could do at that point. And that's my statement is, should we not take that step to do everything we can?
It would have been nice, and he showed up tonight, and whoever said about adding a different line, I don't think there would have been a problem if he had said, we're going to appoint such and such with the school's fiscal officer, and then he continued to perform his functions, and then he signs as county finance director. But it's gotten out where y'all, everybody's just butting heads, and y'all have no structure. I mean, you don't have, other than what I'm saying, I can't guarantee that this plan isn't going to get shot down by the state, and the state goes, well, I made my position clear, Ms. Lee did in her letter that it's Jeff Marlowe or it's no one, and I'm going to void y'all's insurance. I do not know if that's going to happen. She, you know, if y'all have no control over Jeff, you have less control over Ms. Lee. And the way I read her email, I agree with Joe, it was, I liked your email, I thought we could get a solution, it was, I'm not changing anything, and she, the way I read her email is it's Jeff or it's no one. So, I mean, if we take the action, which is the only thing I could think of to try to help you all out, because your deadline's next week, I cannot guarantee that that action is not going to be voided by the state, and they say, we told you it had to be Mr. Marlowe, and thus this year you all don't get any insurance.
As Mr. Coker said, it clearly defines that we have the opportunity to ask for an extension. So should we ask for an extension to this, and then again, attempt to sit down with Mr. Marlowe to find a compromise?
Or reach out to Ms. Lee and ask if the word finance director will be accepted.
I don't think he would sign it, he don't say finance director. Yeah, there's no real difference. If you think that they changed that?
It's for the same purpose, though.
Now, let me throw this out at you. And again, I'm just thinking out loud. If Crystal thinks he can do that, we could, I would throw this out as a better option, would be to add the line and just still vote a fiscal director and then have a line for him to sign as finance director. And then also be asking for the extension at the same time. I would be doing everything to cover I think, you know, it gives us out there, and Crystal thinks he will sign it as finance director, and then you all have a fiscal position to where we can get some clarification. There's no way you all can get this decided if you don't do it tonight. It's tonight or it's never.
Listening to what Mr. Coker has said, and what I know, Marlowe, and with the, isn't there a lawsuit right now? Isn't there a lawsuit about the insurance or something with Primal?
Yeah, that,
Okay,
That's a different issue.
right. But I could see where he doesn't want anyone to think he's manager, because he's not. He's only money man, that's all. That's finance, but I think that's an issue is the manager's part, and they did clearly take that out, right?
If you were to do what Mr. Cantrell suggests, and put a line there for him to sign as finance director, but go ahead and appoint somebody to be a fiscal officer that would sign it. That would basically accomplish what he was wanting to do with his staff, so I can imagine that he would sign it. I can't speak for him now, you know.
Well, I think you're right.
But I think that would basically accomplish the same thing. And if you ask for an extension, said if it's needed, you know, we want an extension, but here's the document that the board has taken official action on, and this is the person that we've designated. It's doubtful that the state's gonna say you didn't have the authority to do that, because their own document says that you do. On the questions and answers, frequently asked questions, clearly says that you do.
Are we allowed to modify this document?
No. But you wouldn't be modifying it if you just put a line on it for him to sign. The same terms would be there.
Like, I can sign it as your all's legal attorney, sign proof of support. There's no problem. I do that all the time on documents that you always send me, and I don't say, I agree with it, but I approve this to the form of the document.
You can add a line that's not a modification.
No, well, yes and no.
It's not a modification because the Financial Management Act itself requires that legal counsel approve as to form. So that would not be a modification of the terms of the document. That just says that-
It's not really a modification, because you just have a signature. Whether or not they're going to grant it is their question. You're not modifying the terms of the agreement.
We're in the weeds. Go ahead, sir.
Under the director of schools, isn't it financial part of it too? I'm just saying, we could let Ms. Phil sign both, see both places, add Jeff's as the finance director.
You could, and again, I would follow the multi-tiered approach of, if you're gonna do that, request the extension, have him sign it, and I'm gonna go out on a limb here, because I hate it when attorneys just, well, Joe says, attorneys just give opinions. I mean, we're supposed to give you more than just an opinion. I honestly think that your chancellor, who this would go before, if there was an agreement at the state, I think Elizabeth would say, this document is so vague as it relates to their definition of finance director, that if you've got both signatures, you're kind of covering your bases, and I think she would rule in favor of keeping the people's insurance. I can't see where a court of appeals would overturn that. I think that you make a very strong argument to say, look, this is vague, we're doing the best we can, we've asked for an extension, you know, we're signing in both places, he's signing it, you all said he had to. I think that at the end of the day, we may be in a lawsuit for a while, but I think they would do a stay, keep the people's insurance, and this chancellor's a pretty smart chancellor, and I think Chancellor Asbury would say, let's do that.
One other, Mr. Chair, has anyone here spoken with Mr. Marlowe and asked him about his concerns?
I've had emails.
Yeah.
I'm not talking to him, I'm just going on.
He stands by that he's not the manager of the party. And that agreement.
I reached out to him and he said, refer to Mr. Smith, but he knows something.
Director Filter, if this board modifies the agenda and elects you as the
I am not comfortable with that.
Okay,
I
that's-
talked to the state, and the state said you are not the fiscal officer.
Yep.
You are the LEA. You have a fiscal officer, so that's where I'm getting conflicting information. I'm affected by this as well. I have health issues. I need my insurance the same as everyone else does. I want to protect that for all our employees, but at the same time, I don't want to put them in jeopardy because I put a signature that the state, as in Mary Ann Dursky, CTAS, and Benefits Administration, does not acknowledge as an authorized signature.
I still stand by the fact that I think we need to try to sit down with Mr. Marlowe at a time that's convenient, in a location that's convenient for him, and try to see if we can figure out a solution.
I want to add something to what your director said. She she has defined statutory authority, just like you all do as a board. If she says she's not gonna sign it, you can't order her to sign it. Her statutory authority as it relates to those issues is hers alone, and she can say, you know, you can say, I want Jennifer to sign it, Jennifer, I'm not gonna sign it, she wins on that argument. But it's not under your all's inherent powers of the board to request it. Now, you can vote to request a person to be appointed by her, and I think she then has to do that, but you cannot force her to sign a document. And I do agree with her, the state has been crystal clear on this, and nothing that has been said tonight has caused me to change my position, that the state's position is the correct position.
So what is the pleasure of the board?
Motion to.
Motion creating the rules.
Maybe it's an action item on the agenda to discuss how to deal with the insurance.
Chris Moore. Cummings.
Yes.
Fields.
Yes.
Heatherly.
Yes.
Johnson.
Yes.
Lester.
Yes.
Rodner.
Yes.
Wheeler.
Yes.
Miller.
Yes.
Motion passed.
Now, I think we're creating this position. Is that what the pleasure is?
Mr. Chairman, my concern is if Director Fields is not comfortable with this, we're asking her to,
I'm not comfortable with signing as a
Correct.
fiscal officer position. I am.
could we give that power to the board chairman?
She can appoint on an emergency basis before the person can take hiring. It can't be.
Did somebody volunteer to do it without what words out there?
She can, no, because y'all are government employees, she can appoint it, and you all can deal with how much it's gonna be funded. I mean, you can appoint it solely for 2 weeks. I mean, you don't have to make this a permanent position and say you're gonna get a day of comp pay. I mean, it's not gonna be a big amount, because all you're doing is reviewing the document and signing it. But you can, and Joe, I'm correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Governor, there, you can't say it's public employee work for, they've got to give them a comp time or something.
So that we've been advised to create a position to review this document, sign it as a financial officer. Go and it gets sent. Correct?
Well, and I would also, I would cover my bases 3
Have
ways.
his-
I would do like what Crystal
Right.
says, put Jeff's name as financial director, let it stamp it. and
So the board, by
ask
taking
her-
official action, we are creating this position, so it's an official position.
And
So,
Also,
well, you do have non-discretionary funding, and if this were not a permanent position, then you could use your non-discretionary funding to pay that. Because you're not creating technically a funding source, and you can say one base back.
would that eliminate any of us because we cannot accept school system funding?
No board member can do this. It has to be who Jennifer would pick. And you would, what I would do is say pick it and do it for 1 day, let that person review the document, and then put it on your agenda for next month and invite Mr. Marlowe to come. And then she's gonna be submitting the request for an extension. And then, if everything goes through, then we don't have anything to worry about for a year. If they say no, then hopefully they grant us the extension to deal with it, to come through. And then if they say no to that, and no to the extension, then we'll
that's
follow.
what's take time.
Yeah,
It's negotiating.
I agree. Director Fields, are you comfortable with this route that we're exploring?
No, I'm not, but I want my employees to have health insurance, so.
Please elaborate.
We have been given direct guidance from the state, and we are ignoring it. we have been told by Benefits Administration, we have been told by CCAS, we have been told by Finance, Mary Ann Dersley, we have been contacted by Senator Yeager. And we are still saying, no, we're gonna do it this way, or we're not gonna do this. It is very hard for me to go against guidance that I'm receiving directly from people who work with the Commissioner of Education and the Governor of Tennessee and their guidelines and say, yeah, well, let's just go ahead and do that, because at the end of the day, if Benefits Administration says, I see that you circumvented this, you did not, I don't know how long it takes to authorize them to change the fiscal officer and the ABC. I don't know how long that takes. I'm not, again, I'm not qualified in the fiscal operations of the school system. No one in my office is trained to do that, to be the ABC. I don't know the first thing about it. So to say, yes, I will take that, that's a great idea, then it really worries me to get someone to come in just long enough to put a signature down.
Let me, because I agree with her. It makes me uncomfortable because I'm giving y'all counsel against something that I know what the answer is, but I'm trying to give you outs. I just thought of something. You all have the ability to hire an accountant because they are a professional licensed individual. So instead of going to the school system, you could say, I'm going to hire an accountant, just like you would an architect or me or someone else with professional licensure. And you don't have to submit that to bid. I mean, that's at least somebody that has some financial experience. But I'm kind of like Jennifer. I'm giving you all options, but I don't want anybody coming back in 30 days and going, if this goes to pot.
I guess here's my thought. If Mr. Marlowe has asserted himself as a fiscal officer for north of a decade in this capacity, right? So there is standing that in the past he's felt he was the fiscal officer in this capacity. We as a board seem very convinced in you that he is the fiscal officer. Moreover, the state of Tennessee, our state senator, the Department of Education, everybody is convinced that he is our fiscal officer except for him. Why don't we have a conversation with our county commission finance? And if they are also convinced that he's the fiscal officer, then they can instruct him to sign this. And it's your understanding that he would then have to.
No, he doesn't have to. They can instruct him to, and then if he doesn't, then 3/4 of them say he's insubordinate. It's like a layer that you have to go through to get to. It's harder to remove this position
Right.
than you think that it would. It's not like a simple job.
Right. It requires multiple meetings and
And
everything.
I think it has to be the finance committee and the county commission that has to consider the majority of those. So it's a harder thing to do.
Okay, here's what we're gonna do. We can have an emergency meeting at my discretion.
Or you could just not adjourn this meeting and just continue it on since it's now on the agenda.
We're gonna reach out to Marty Lee in the morning to see if changing that finance director will be sufficient. I'll reach out to him and see if he'll come full custody. If he will, if they say that's fine, then we're good. If they agree, that's fine. If they don't, then I'll reach out and we'll come back, if he'll come back. And that's all I'm gonna do, or do this hiring somebody for a day.
And just to be clear, the state is so concerned about this and about these employees losing their insurance. They went to our state senator and said, hey, can you please do something? There's about to be 750 people in your community without insurance, right? I mean, guys, we all understand the gravity of this.
I agree with everything you all said.
We have that in place.
I would for sure tonight vote to authorize your director to ask for extensions. I think that's a no-brainer. I would for sure recommend that the director or you as the board chair reach out to Ms. Lee and go, can we do this? I mean, would you accept it? But I think her answer is going to be no based on that, because that's essentially what you did in your last email, and she shot it down. I don't know who would be above her other than the governor. I don't know who's the governor.
And all those
what, sir?
Legal line says financial, and just sign it, good for finance.
Well, the point Jennifer makes that I agree with is you don't want to upset them so much that they've been crystal clear in what they've said. I mean, they have left no gray area or opportunity for us to do anything in the way they wanted to do. This governor ran down your school voucher thing down your throat. It's not like you're sitting with a group of people that are supporters of local education at the national level. It says amount when she just gave you that one sentence. I'm not sure. I mean, because if I was watching your email live and I thought, well, that's kind of quick, good response. And it was just like, I don't change anything. I wonder if she read it. Yeah, I mean, it was just click, and it was like within a minute, she was back on and But, yeah, guys, everything you do is risking these folks' insurance, and that's hard. I mean, I wish Joe and I had an easier answer for you, but we just don't.
I make a motion that we ask the director to ask for extensions.
Second.
Second by Mr. Cummings. Any more discussion on that? Call roll.
Creekmore. Yes. Cummings.
Yes.
Fields.
Yes.
Heatherly.
Yes.
Johnson.
Yes.
Lester. Reichner.
Yes.
Wheeler.
Yes.
Miller.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Our finance director on that.
Financial officer.
Yes, whatever you want to call it.
Besides an incapacity. Yeah,
Whatever.
whatever.
Fiscal officer, what they call it.
Fiscal officer.
Fiscal officer.
But Taylor, before you make that motion, if you're gonna do that, the quickest way to do it would be somebody outside the system that would be a CPA, because you do run into the postings, and it's an easier, it's just a cleaner way to do it if you've got that. Now, that's at your all's discretion, because you're hiring an outside
And we need to
director.
have like a term or just leave it there.
I would say for the single purpose, you know, like different than you hire an architect to look at the document. I would say for the single purpose of reviewing this document and signing the document, that's it.
So your motion is to hire a financial person.
For the sole
For the
purpose
sole
of
purpose of
reviewing this
this.
document.
Insurance
Right, yeah.
Are we sure we want to do that before we have this emergency meeting? Because, I mean, we can do that at an emergency meeting.
We don't have 10 days anyway. We don't have 10 days.
You get extension.
I'll know tomorrow if I'm gonna be, I'd like to hopefully find out if I can get that extension.
But if this position has to be posted for 10 days, or like Dale's talking about, they can be appointed immediately, there's no difference between today and tomorrow.
If you're retired of service, you don't have to.
It's service you do not have to.
Just
be a service
again,
for the insurance.
there'd be no urgency to do this until we follow up with that emergency meeting, because if you can do it at 4 o'clock tomorrow, what are we accomplishing tonight?
Well, playing devil's advocate, what are you gonna do? You're just back here tomorrow night, and if he doesn't come, you're right back to where you are. I mean, I think it's better to somebody one-on-one.
You have a motion to hire a financial person for the purpose of this only.
I would say for the purpose sole purpose of reviewing this insurance document and determining if it's in the best interest of the Campbell County Board of Education to sign as fiscal officer. And just for that one purpose. Yeah.
I second that motion.
Second. Any more discussion? Call roll.
Creekmore. Yes. Cummings.
No.
Fields. Yes. Heatherly.
Yes.
Johnson.
No.
Lester. Reichner.
Yes.
Wheeler.
Yes.
Miller.
next, keep following this path, I would suggest that you authorize your chairman of the Board of Education and your county mayor to reach out to the county finance director and respectfully request that he would be comfortable signing as just in his capacity as the finance director. Because I don't think that bringing him forward, I think you two have a good relationship with him, and I think it's easier if you sit down non-publicly and go, would this solve your ability? You know, to do the bad, the two of you.
I think they can talk with it about that. The only comment I would make about limitations on what you've done here would be if they had to, if somebody asked, well, what's this person going to do? After this document is signed, is there going to be any follow-up on, in actually doing whatever this fiscal officer needs to do until you hire somebody permanent? It might be that you get asked that question. You might want to cover that possibility in your motion. They might want to see what you voted to do. And if they see that limitation on it, that that's all this person is going to do, they might question.
I agree with that.
Have a form of scrutiny.
Which is, Jennifer nailed it. I mean, this is so out there that state officials, in my opinion, once they make a declaration, they don't back off the declaration. And this administration isn't up for re-election. These people don't have anybody to answer to. There's somebody going to come around in 2 years and do it. But Joe's right, and Jennifer's right. There's nobody in your school system that can do this. I mean, as far as issuing the checks, looking at the benefits, I mean, that's, and asking some outside party, Joe, what if Ms. Lee goes, okay, well, what's next? What experience does this person have? Can this person issue a check? Can this person do this? I mean, those are all of the unknowns that make this problematic, but we're not giving you solutions, we're giving you options.
To your point, Dale, is this person qualified to act in this capacity even in an emergency situation?
I feel comfortable that I could read, I've read that memorandum, and I feel comfortable
Well, my
saying that it's
question
fiscally
is, why in
responsible.
the world would someone who has helped their county and their school system so much and been involved for so many years want to see 750,000 people, or 700, however many people we have, without health insurance? That's my question. I don't understand.
Well, that he conveyed to me that it wasn't his team. It's just he would be held liable for the mandatory aspect of the requirement at time.
That is not been recognized.
He does not feel that he has that responsibility at all.
And to echo you, Lisa, and what I was asking Mr. Coker earlier is at what point that changed, right? Because again, this is not new. He apparently learned a few weeks ago conveniently that the definition of what this is changed. So I would like to know from the State Department when that changed, right? If they started looking at it differently this year versus 8 years ago, right? Or 2 years ago when he signed it most recently. And I'd be curious to see the emails and et cetera where he was informed of that change.
After Joe's statement, I'm more and more concerned about this lead lady getting on the phone and asking
I mean,
you, how did
we're
you
all
vet this
about
person?
transparency
Well, it's,
and-
yeah, she's gonna go, what's next? I mean, the person reviewed it, now who's gonna write the checks? You're gonna have to say, what's Mr. Harlan? I mean,
Might still be right.
well, and I'm over that, but he reviews everything. You don't have anyone that handles any of the benefits.
Have we, sorry, your fiscal officer signature will not match his, because that would be a different person. And she can throw a red flag on that and say, this does not match this. Why is Brandon signing and Brian sending the check? That doesn't make any sense. And it kicks out again. We've accomplished nothing.
Have we had a phone call with Ms. Lee or has it just been?
I've had a phone call. I've spoken on the phone with her, and I've spoken with Mary Anderson. And to your point, so many people having different conversations. I tried to keep it streamlined. As soon as I received the MOU from Benefits Administration, I printed it off. I called the Department of Finance, asked who the ABA was since Phyllis Boshears retired. They said Amy McGee is the primary, Cindy Lindsay is the secondary. I didn't even question it. I typed it up in an email. I sent it because that was the change. I submitted that to the state for their documentation. I said, well, I have the MOU for the state state insurance plan. I'm going to send it over. I sent my administrative assistant over. She dropped it off at the Department of Finance. 3 days later, or a few days later, when I think Mr. Marlowe had reached out to you, he didn't contact me, or I didn't hear from him. And his email was as though he had not seen the MOU, because he said he wasn't aware if the school system knew that this was in a time-sensitive issue, that it had to be completed by the 15th. And Amy McGee had already signed the MOU. It was returned to me, whited out, her signature was whited out. It was returned to me. And I saw on the thread of the email that when you sent me an email, Jeff's email was under there where he said, I have no intention of signing this. So that is when I then reached out. I was communicating, and then I made Dell aware, Jeffrey aware of it. Then it started, communication was going everywhere, and no one was communicating with me. I was just, so I don't know where all the communication took place. I talked to Laurie Lee, and she is the one who sent the 3-page email with the 57-page documentation that went out to everyone. Then Mary Ann Dursky responded and said just what I said. She was in agreement, as well as CTAS and everyone else at TDOE, that is what we needed to do. I don't want to be difficult in any way, but keep in mind, we are in a situation with our insurance. We've been facing a lawsuit, there's been situations with it. I think that we're all a little skeptical with not handling this the proper way, because we don't want to do the wrong thing and open ourselves up to litigation or liability, or heaven forbid, personal liability. I think that's why everyone is apprehensive about signing in an unauthorized capacity, because it's not just on the school system, it's an individual.
But it is a crime, I mean, you can't sign a state document.
Well, and there's the crime, that's another issue in itself. I don't want to be a crime. It's our beginning of this.
Between our school system and the state of Tennessee. So other county agencies, do they have a similar or almost the same?
I really don't know the answer to that, because their framework could be different. If they have in-house, that could be their,
That's not what I'm asking.
okay, what?
Does he have to sign off on it? Does Jeff have to sign off on it?
In another agency?
And a different MOU, like if he was providing coverage, let's say to the sheriff's department, is he
I
signing
don't
that as a
know.
fiscal officer? Or is he
Do not
signing
know
that
the
as a
answer to that.
I checked with our county, and our in-house guy does it all. So we have in-house insurance and we have in-house finance. So they do it collectively, nothing
I
goes.
see what Ryan's
there.
asking though.
Oh, you mean for the other
I
departments?
sign for it, does the sheriff sign for his, or is Jeff the fiscal officer for the sheriff's department, or whatever other department?
Also, on that, anyone who's accepting county insurance, if he's signing off on that, then there's no difference in the school system unless it is that wording. So like if the state is providing insurance to the county police department, the sheriff's office, if he has to sign off on that MOU, it's gonna say his name, and it's gonna say that title, whatever that title is.
I would say the one distinction is that your teachers are technically state employees, not county employees. Or your sheriff's people would all be county employees.
I see that, but if he's signing as a fiscal
No, there
officer.
wouldn't be any difference. And one thing you could consider doing is just taking a vote tonight that says, we're directing you to sign this, it's our opinion that you're the fiscal officer, and just see what happens. And one of you's gonna look really bad and, you know, the insurance gets canceled. You need to, for sure, ask for an extension either way, but you could say, Mr. Marlowe, we direct you to sign this, and then if the insurance gets canceled, I mean, you know, it's gonna fall either on him or it's gonna fall on you from the teacher's part, but, I mean, there's no easy answer here. But the more I cogitate on what Jennifer said, Joe said, I get hesitant about somebody, now that the state has taken such an aggressive position that says it is him. I mean, there's no, you cannot read the 50-something pages that she provided that says it is him any other way.
Where can we acquire the MOUs for all other county agencies?
Where's the, it should be, the document for the school should be the same for every school system, I would think. I mean,
Like the sheriff's.
They are county insurance.
So, we adjourn or recess.
Well, it depends on what you're gonna do. If you're planning on coming back, I can come back Thursday, I can't come back Tuesday. I can come back on Thursday, but
And I will emergency meeting next week.
you don't have to, I wouldn't adjourn the meeting, I would just say, we just recess it until Thursday, and then invite everybody here. But it would be nice if you all could get it worked out with having to, because I think you're gonna rehash a lot of the same road going through it. I don't
Well, the only
know.
thing is, we hope that we make some get this late.
Because I don't know, me and Joe, I don't see anything changing about it, and I don't know if anything could change your opinion at this stage. So I think Ms. Lee has said what she said, and Jeff said what he said, and, you know,
I've said what I've said.
well, the two of them are the only two that really matter.
I make a motion recess till Thursday at 5:30.
Just for clarification,
Lord,
You have an abstaining motion.
we got to.
To hire a police officer for the County Board of Education solely to review the insurance document and obtain signature. Is that,
You've already voted that in. Why don't you vote to hold that in abeyance until after you reconvene on Thursday and see where you are then? Because I do, the more I listen to Joe and listen to Jennifer, I do have some concerns about arbitrary signing of the document with the state saying it can't be anybody but, because they were so declarative.